Hello, children. How are you? Well, I'm going to start trying to solve this exercise, this exam, so you can practice on your own. Okay. I will try to make this video as short as possible. Okay. Okay. First exercise. It says complete the table of values for that equation. That is a quadratic equation. You have a table of values for x minus 1.5, minus 0.5, and so on. And most of you, all of you, did this exercise well, this part A well, because you had to replace minus 1.5 in the equation, minus 0.5 also in the equation, and you start completing the table of values. I'm not going to do that because you already have done it in the exam, and as I said, you all did it well. So I'm just going to write the answers. Okay. Okay, I have completed the table. Okay, and now it says draw the graph for that same equation between this range of values, minus 1.5 and 4.5, which are the values that we have here in our table. Okay, so remember, when you have to draw a graph, you need, beside of the those points that I have already put them in there in the x-y axis, you need the y-intercept, also known as coordenada origen in Spanish, okay, and the vertex. You need those two values for you to draw properly, okay, and also the roots. If you know the y-intercept, the vertex, and the roots, you can draw it properly, okay. Which is the y-intercept? The y-intercept is in this case, the number 1 is the number that is without an x, okay. This is also known as the ordenada origen. So 1 is the y-intercept. So 1 is going to be here. This is the value for 1. Okay? Okay. We have done the y-intercept. Now we have to determine the vertex. How do we determine the vertex? There are two ways we can do. First, we can find the x-vertex as using the formula minus b divided to a, to multiply a, where a is their coefficient principal, okay, which is 1. B is the number with the minus 3 in this case, is the number that is only with the x, minus 3, and C is 1. C is 1. We're going to use it for the roots later, okay? And then when I use this value, then I find that x vertex equals minus 3 divided to multiply 1. So this is 1.5. So in 1.5, I know I'm going to find the x vertex. Now, how do I determine the y vertex? Well, for the y vertex, you have to replace 1.5 in this equation, okay? Okay, there I replace x with the x vertex, and then I have to solve this. So the x vertex is minus 1.25. So I go to, if this is minus 1, minus 1.25 can be something like this. Okay, so the x vertex will be here. And now we need the roots. Okay, how do we determine the roots? Okay, we can use Bhaskara. Okay, we can either complete like this, start completing, drawing the, drawing the graph. Okay, acá se me disculpa por la, dificulta por la tableta. Okay, sorry. You can complete, trying to complete, okay, like this, and you can say, well, almost in this value and in this value, there are the roots, okay? But let's do it with Bhaskara. Do you know how to use Bhaskara? You have studied it in Spanish. It's x1 and 2, the two possible roots, are equal to minus b plus minus b squared minus 4 for a multiply ac divided to a. If I replace here the values and I solve this this formula, then the answers will be, these are going to be the roots, okay? The first root 0.382 and the second roots 2.618. Okay, so it can be here 2.6, and this is something like 0.3. Okay, and now that you have the roots and you have all the rest of the numbers, you plot it. Okay, you draw it with per hand, okay, at mano alzada. And then you have the graph, okay? So you need the table of values, you need the y-intercept, you need the vertex, and you need the roots, okay? And then you can draw it the graph to draw the equation. Then, so this is the first part and the second part. Write down the equation of the line of symmetry. The line of symmetry, we said that is the x equals the value of x vertex. So the line of symmetry will be x equals, which is the x vertex, 1.5. 1.5. So this x equals 1.5. Use your graph to solve the equation. Okay, we have done it in when we did the roots. Okay, or if you draw it without the roots, then you can say, well, almost this is the value of 2.6 and this is the value 0.38. Okay, so in the exam I will ask you to do it with Bhaskara and with the graph. Okay, both ways. So will be x1 equals 0.38 and the other value x equals 2.618. Okay, so two ways of doing this. Then you can either draw the graph without determining the roots, and then you have to compare if the values of the drawing that you did is equal to the values of the roots with the Bhaskara. Okay, you can do that, or you can determine the roots before doing the graph, and then you have solved exercise D, part D of this exercise. Write down the coordinate of the lowest point of the graph. Always the lowest point or the highest point in an equation, in a quadratic equation, is the vertex. So the lowest point will be the point of the vertex, which is 1.5, and the y-vertex is minus 1.25. Okay. On the same line, draw the graph of the line y equals x plus 1. Okay, to draw a straight line, you always need at least 2 points. So you can use, for example, when x equals 0, then y equals 0 plus 1, 1. So that point is here. This is the first point of the straight line. And then you can do when x equals 1, then y equals how much? 2. Because 1, the one you choose for the x value, plus 1 is 2. So for 1 is the number 2. For 1 is number 2. And now you have 2 points, and then you can draw the straight line. Okay, with a ruler, you will go like this, and you will go backwards. Okay, so you have drawn the straight line. Okay, for those values. Write down the values where the line crosses the curve. Okay, you can either see, okay, which is the value for x when they crosses. Okay, in this case, x equals 0. And in this case, it's 4 point something. Okay, and also what you should do, okay, is to compare the equations. Okay, so you have the straight line, which is x plus 1, and if you want them to intersect or cross, then you have to do it, they are equal. Okay, x to the power of 2 minus 3x. Then you have to solve this equation. You do 0 equals x squared minus 3x plus 1 minus 1 minus x. So 0 equals x squared minus 4x. Okay. Then you can solve it with Bhaskara. Okay, that's an option. If you solve it with Bhaskara, it will be x1 equals 0 and x2 equals x2 equals 4. So okay, so we were close. Okay, close to 4 for this intersection. Okay, and this is 0 for this intersection for the two different points. Okay. Okay, and then we have solved all the first part of the exam. Okay, I did this exam, but it's the same with the other one, and it will be the same as the one in the makeup. Okay, so these are all the things you should know to do. You have to do for the IG test. Okay. Now the second part. Now we have this exercise. Okay, we have in this case there are 4 straight lines. Let's say this is number 1, this is number 2, this is number 3, and this is number 4. Okay, how do you find the equation of a straight line? An equation of a straight line is y equals the gradient plus the y-intercept. So first you have to determine the gradient. How do you determine the gradient in number 1? What we said is you have to determine 2 points. Okay, for example, this point and this point. So this point will be -3, 7, and 0, 6. And the gradient we said is the y change, so it's 7 minus 6 divided the x change, -3 minus 0. So this is 7 minus 6, 1, -3 minus 0, -3. So the gradient is m equals -1/3. Okay, and so this is the gradient. And the y-intercept is equals to the value where this straight line cuts the y-axis. In this case, it cuts the y-axis at 6. So the y-intercept is 6. We have determined the gradients, the y-intercept, and we have to write the equation. We have to find the equation. The equation is y equals -1/3 x plus 6. Okay, this is one way of doing it. If not, if you determine 2 dots, for example, this one and this one, you said, okay, how many movements do I have to do from going to point 1, from point A to point B? Okay, you have to go 1 square back down, 1 square down, 3 to the right, and since I'm going down, this is a negative, -1/3, and it's the same. Okay, you can either do it by determining 2 dots and doing the gradient with this difference, okay, the y change and the x change, or by looking at the graph, you have to ask yourself, well, how many movements do I have to do from going to point A to point B? Okay, it's the same in this case. I have to go down one space and 3 spaces to the right. Okay, and since I'm going down, it's negative. Equation number 2 is an horizontal straight line, so we have the gradients. It's 0. Okay, the equation is 1, y equals 4, and the y-intercept is equals 4 because it's the value where the line crosses the intersects the y-axis. And I'm not going to do number 3 because it's the same as number 1. You have to determine 2 points and do the y change. The y-intercept in this case, the y-intercept equals, I think it's -4. The change, we have to determine 2 dots. For example, these 2 dots, you are moving upwards 3 spaces, if I'm looking correctly, okay? You are moving upward 3 spaces, so it's positive. And then you are moving to the left, to the right, 1 space. So the gradient is m equals 3. or as they write in the IG, they say gradients equal 3. So the equation is 3x minus 4. Okay, and the straight line number 4, since it's a vertical straight line, you express it as x equals, in this case, 4. Do we have a y-intercept? No. Do we have a gradient? No, we don't. Okay, and that is how you solve exercise number 2. Now let's go to number 3. Okay, now we have this exercise. It says rearrange each equation so that's in the form y equals mx plus c. Okay, so let's do number 1, number 3a. It says x plus 3y minus 6 equals 0. So you have to leave y alone. Okay, it's like you have to solve for y. So you say 3y equals minus 6 minus x. Y equals minus 6 minus x divided by 3. Y equals minus 6 divided by 3 minus x divided by 3. Y equals minus 2 minus x divided by 3. Have we finished this part of the exercise? No, because I'm asking you to write the equation in this order. So the answer will be y equals minus 1/3 x minus 2. Okay, so that is the final answer. We have rearranged that, that expression. Let's rearrange number B. 2x minus y minus 5 equals 0. So since y is negative, you can change it to the other side. Okay, it's the same. Minus y equals minus 2x plus 5. Okay, it's the same. We change 2x and minus 5. We send it to the right side of the equation, and then you have to remove this negative value. Okay, this negative sign. So when you remove this negative sign, you change the signs of the numbers on the right. So it's 2x minus 5. Okay, so we have solved that. It says for each find a parallel line that y-intercept in 4. For two lines to be parallel, they have to have the same gradients. Okay, so for the first one will be minus 3x plus 4, and the other one will be y equals 2x plus 4. Okay, two parallel lines that intercept in 4. And for part D, for each find a perpendicular line that has the origin of coordinate as one of its points. So a perpendicular line of a straight line, the gradient, has this expression. The gradient of the perpendicular line is minus 1 divided the gradient of the original line. Okay, original line. So in this case will be the gradient for number 2 will be minus 1 divided minus 1/3. Okay, we are using this one, and this is m2 equals 3. And which is the y-intercept? The y-intercept, since it's the origin of coordinates, y value is 0. So the expression will be y equals 3x plus 0, but we don't write the 0, okay? It's just y equals 3x. Or you can write it, it's the same, okay? And for the second equation, then m2 equals minus 1 divided by 2. So this gradient is, this is the gradient, minus 1/2. And then the perpendicular line will be minus 1/2 x, also plus 0, because it's the origin of coordinates, okay? So we have done this exam. It's the same as the other one. Okay, I'm not going to do them both, but the idea is the same. Okay. I hope this video helped you study for the test.